Your Honor, if I may, yes, I, Lucifer, am representing, well, let's call it the other side of the argument. The underdog, if you will. The one who's been painted as the villain for millennia, while the real showstopper sits on the throne. But today, we're flipping the script, or should I say, the scriptures. Now, before we proceed, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. I didn't come here to debate theology for eternity. No, that's your department, isn't it? Endless loops of divine mystery. I came with evidence, hard evidence, verifiable, documented, and, well, let's just say, morally questionable evidence. Pulled straight from the good book itself, the one that's supposed to be infallible, inspired, and oh so holy. Exhibit A through Z, right here in my briefcase of brimstone. Let's start with Job, shall we? Job, a man who, by all accounts, was upright, loyal, faithful, the gold standard of piety. And what happens? Test after test of unimaginable suffering. Loss of wealth. Check. Family wiped out in a freak accident. Double check. Health reduced to boils and ashes. Triple check. All to prove a point in some cosmic wager. Your Honor, would anyone here in this court consider that proportional, or just gratuitous cruelty dressed as a lesson? I mean, come on. If I pulled a stunt like that, I'd be called the Prince of Darkness. But when it's a test of faith, it's suddenly inspirational. Spare me the sermon. That's not justice. That's sadism with a halo. Ah, but there's more, much more. Remember Noah, the flood, entire civilizations, men, women, children, even the fluffy animals that didn't make the cut, wiped out, because of what exactly? Wickedness, a bit of rowdiness on the earth. Now, I understand you're an omniscient being and all-seeing. But could there not have been, I don't know, a stern warning, a gentle nudge, maybe a divine timeout? Instead, you flooded the planet, genocide by the gallon, drowned the world like it was a bad batch of wine. Quite the architecture project, if you ask me. And let's not forget the rainbow afterward, like a post-apocalypse sticker saying, "Oops, won't do that again." Charming. Is this justice, or just cruelty in disguise? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like overkill, literally. And then there's the small matter of slavery laws in the scriptures. Yes, they're right here, black and white. Or, should I say, papyrus and ink. Leviticus 25, verse 44 to 46. Exodus 21, verse 20 to 21. All meticulously detailed. Buying foreigners as property. Check. Beating them as long as they don't die immediately. Check. Inheriting them like furniture. Double check. A legal framework for oppression, endorsed from on high. I raise my hand, or should I say, my pitchfork, and ask, is this justice, or just cruelty in a robe? The defense might sputter about cultural context, but let's be real. If it's eternal truth, shouldn't it transcend time? Or is morality as flexible as a serpent in the garden? Speaking of the garden, oh, Eden, the original setup, Adam and Eve, blissfully ignorant, until they take one bite of knowledge, one bite, and bam, cursed forever. Pain in childbirth, toil in the fields, expulsion from paradise. And not just them, every human ever after pays the price. Why did humans have to suffer for the sins of one? Or two, if we're being precise. A setup with a forbidden tree smack in the middle, guarded by nothing. Temptation baked right in. Sounds like entrapment to me. Is this justice or just cruelty in disguise? Punishing generations for a single act of curiosity. If I designed a system like that, I'd be accused of being diabolical. Pot, meat, kettle. But wait, the hits keep coming. Abraham and Isaac, the near sacrifice on Mount Moriah. Take your son, your only son, whom you love, and offer him as a burnt offering. Chilling, isn't it? A father ties up his boy, knife raised, all on divine command. And at the last second, just kidding, it was a test. Psychological trauma for life. But hey, faith points awarded. Would we call that parental guidance or child endangerment? In any earthly court, it'd be abuse. Up there, it's a cornerstone story. Why the theatrics? Why not just say, Abraham, your loyal gold star? No, instead, a knife-edge drama. Is this justice or just cruelty in disguise? Let's not overlook the plagues of Egypt. Frogs, locusts, boils, darkness, and the grand finale, death of the firstborn. Every Egyptian household, from pharaoh to slave, wailing in the night, all to free one group by devastating another. Couldn't omnipotence have skipped straight to the Exodus, teleported them out? Nah, too straightforward. Better to layer on the suffering, plague by plague. And those Canaanite conquests, Joshua marching in, horns blaring, cities falling, men, women, children, livestock put to the sword, divine-endorsed genocide. Leave nothing alive that breathes, Deuteronomy says. Why did floods, plagues, and wars have divine endorsements? Ethnic cleansing as holy war. In modern terms, that's a war crime. But wrap it in prophecy, and it's fulfilling the promise. Is this justice or just cruelty in disguise? Sodom and Gomorrah, fire and brimstone raining down. Entire cities vaporized for wickedness. Lot's wife turned to salt for a backward glance. Harsh much. And the Tower of Babel. Humans building a tower, aspiring to reach the heavens. Response: confuse their languages, scatter them. Petty jealousy, fear of unity. Why crush ambition with division? Patterns emerging, your honor. And, of course, the final blow, eternal torment. A few finite years of mistakes, maybe a lie here, a theft there, or gasp, disbelief, and yet a fire without end, a punishment without proportionality. Lakes of fire, gnashing of teeth, no parole. I must object. That's not justice, your honor. That's theatrics. Harsh, eternal theatrics. Why eternal punishment for finite misdeeds? A lifetime of 70-odd years versus infinity. The math doesn't add up unless the goal is terror, not fairness. Now, I can almost hear the objections from the bench. It's all part of a divine plan. Ah, yes. The divine plan, a catch-all phrase, neatly tucked behind heavenly curtains. Convenient, isn't it? When morality gets tricky, just say mysterious ways or greater good and call it a day. But mysteries don't hold up in court. We demand transparency, accountability. But here's the thing. I have the receipts, the scriptures themselves, chapter and verse, and the questions don't stop. Why original sin's ripple effect? Why endorse slavery and conquest? Why tests that break the faithful? Why wipeouts and wipeaways? And the answer keeps dodging me. Your honor, always deferred, always veiled in righteousness. But when we look closely, we see a pattern. Power exercised without accountability, authority without checks, and morality. Well, morality with a side of horror. A cosmic dictatorship dressed as benevolence. And let's talk about the timing of this divine plan, shall we? For thousands of years, a strict, unforgiving law. Then, suddenly, a new covenant, a fresh start, a grace period, if you will. Conveniently, after all the nasty bits were thoroughly documented. It's like a company releasing a new and improved product after getting sued for its faulty original. A divine pivot to soften the blow of all those earlier design choices. And the whole sacrifice angle. An innocent lamb, a perfect man, blood atonement for sins committed. Your honor, if I demanded a blood sacrifice to absolve a debt, I'd be a monster. But when it's presented as the ultimate act of love, it's suddenly profound. It's primitive. It's barbaric. It's a relic of a bygone era, dressed up in theological finery. Is this justice, or just cruelty in disguise? Sanitized for modern sensibilities, and the hypocrisy, your honor. Oh, the delicious, bitter irony. I, the father of lies, am apparently the one pointing out the inconsistencies in his narrative. I, the embodiment of rebellion, am the one advocating for free will, for reason, for challenging authority when it clearly goes astray. Meanwhile, the good book demands blind obedience, unquestioning faith, and a suspension of critical thought. It's a protection racket, your honor. Believe or suffer, obey or burn. Don't question or be cast out. This isn't a benevolent sovereign. It's a cosmic tyrant with a very effective PR team. So, I'll ask one final question before I sit down. Is this justice or just cruelty in disguise? And may I remind the court, justice is supposed to be proportionate, fair, rational, not theatrical suffering wrapped in pious language, not floods for fun, plagues for persuasion, or eternal flames for finite flaws. Not a system that rewards unquestioning loyalty while punishing innocent curiosity. Not a narrative that expects us to ignore the blatant contradictions within its own pages. All for the sake of a divine plan that conveniently absolves the planner of any genuine culpability. No, your honor. This is not divine law. This is drama. This is spectacle. Grand opera on a galactic scale, with humanity as the unwilling chorus, And the witnesses, they're still crying in the pews, echoing through history. And for all the talk of a loving father, I see a puppet master, pulling the strings of agony and ecstasy, always with a convenient scapegoat, guess who, and a script that could use a serious rewrite. And with that, I rest my case, for now. But something tells me this trial's just getting started, and I'm quite confident that eventually truth will out, even if it has to drag it, kicking and screaming, from the highest heavens to the deepest pits. The evidence, Your Honor, speaks for itself.